All right, guys, we are live here at FNGO. It is Monday. I think it's October 7th. Hell, I don't even remember the date. But anyway, it's Monday, and we are here. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. We're able to get out on the water, do a little fishing, maybe do a little hunting, spend time with your family, whatever it might be. I hope you were able to do that. Sorry I missed you guys on Friday. Had to take care of a little thing with my friend that was burying his wife. I was telling you guys about that last weekend, but we got that all done, and we're now here. And again, it's Monday. It's a dreary looking Monday out there, according to the windows. And rained at our house a little bit last night, so not great weather, but it's not hot, so we will take that. What's up, traveling fisherman? How you out there, buddy? And Coleman Jones, gentlemen, still can't fish, but I did get to watch my best friend get married this weekend and celebrate with him. Lots of Crown Apple consumed. Crown Apple. Okay. Personally, if you go with the Crown, I like the salted caramel. Jeff Brazil, Justin Ortiz, how you guys doing? So I hope so far this week you guys are doing well. I know the work week just started, and I hope Monday morning wasn't too hard on you guys. But lots to cover. Again, want to go ahead, like I do every episode, remind everybody, get signed up for the Toys for Tots tournament, December 6th, out of Laurel Park on Lake Lanier, benefiting the Pickens County and the Hall County Toys for Tots. Going to make sure some kids have some smiles on their face for Christmas this year. It's $80 dinner, 60 goes to the pot, 20 to the big fish, but first place is guaranteed $5,000 by the sponsors. And again, you blast off in the order of which you sign up. So if you want to go ahead and pre-register and get one of those early blast-offs, you definitely can sign up. And also, too, you will be able to sign up the morning of. Every angler's got to bring one unopened toy, make at least $20 in value for the kids. And, of course, if you want to bring more and you want to give more, absolutely you can do that. So what's up, everybody out there? Sal Pinto's in the comments today. So how you guys doing? Critterbug Customs. Happy Monday, guys and gals on TikTok. You guys on YouTube, I want to ask you a question real quick before we get started with the conversation. If when I do this, I am going to pop up something that I want to read to you guys from a comment section in YouTube. Can you see this, or is it still me on the camera? Because I haven't done this before. So I popped it up. Right now, I can read in the comments on a YouTube channel, but I cannot see you guys. I want to know what you guys are seeing on the screen right now. If it's still my ugly mug, or if you're getting to see what I've got pulled up. So I'm going to go back to our regular cameras. What did you guys see right there? Just out of curiosity before we get started. Seeing you. Okay, so I stayed in this. So when I'm reading that, you guys will just have to watch me read. Okay, so here we go. Now, we know what the big news is in fishing over this past few days. Now, of course, the NPFL had their 2024 championship. That was great. You've got the Ultimate Angler coming up this weekend. That's going to be fantastic. Actually, starting this week, it's going to be fantastic. But we all know that right now, the biggest thing that everybody's talking about is the unfortunate accident that occurred during the Tackle Warehouse event in April on Smith Lake, where Flint Davis hit another boat with occupants and caused the unfortunate deaths. And finally, the grand jury came out with, their indictments. And I want to get your guys' take on it, because you know how I talk about every single time. I like to see somebody's video, but I go directly to the comment section. And so I want to give you guys the opinion. What's up, LP5 Patriot on TikTok? I want to give you guys an opportunity to express how you kind of feel about it. I want to go ahead and let's do this. Let's set it up. I'm going to read the charges. You probably already have, but just for conversation's sake, let's go ahead and do this. Flint Davis was charged with 3 counts of reckless manslaughter, which in Alabama is a Class F felony, in the deaths of Joey Broom, John Clark, Jeffrey Little. Horrible. 2 counts of assault in the first degree for recklessly engaging in conduct that manifested in extreme indifference to the value of human life and causing serious physical injury to others. That's, again, Class F felonies for Luke Morgan and Gary Holcomb. Count 6 is reckless operation of a vehicle/vessel. Count 7, failure to follow boating rules of the road. Count 8, boating without boater safety certificate. Now, those are the charges. And we all have seen that. And again, by this time, you have all seen probably the video as well. Now, I will say this. I did not, let me start over again. I knew that video existed the day of the accident from friends that I have and that I talked to the day of in Alabama. And I have and I said to that person then, like, I hope that video just doesn't see it. I hadn't seen it yet. LP5 Patriot, I'll get to that in just a second. I'll just put it honest. I'll tell you, I talked to Slick that morning. Slick had seen that video that morning. And he told me it was awful to watch. And I told Slick, I said, man, buddy, I hope that never sees the light of day just for the victims. And he said, yeah, I understand. And also as well, you know, he was telling me everything that happened. It is traumatic, especially the people that have slowed it down. Now it's everywhere because the district attorney or whoever he was, he released it. And actually in his press conference showed it. Now, there's two ways to look at the video. Number one, you can use it educationally, kind of show what happened. And number two, people are watching just because it's a wreck. They like to see that kind of stuff. I have purposefully not posted that video in any of our socials just because I do realize that the families gave the district attorney permission. He said he had talked to all of those. I just personally feel like it's not something that needs to be aired out. That's just me. I'm not knocking anybody who has put it out. Definitely, I'm not putting it out for clicks or anything like that. That's not going to happen. But I want you guys to kind of consider some things. You know, you got a 22-year-old man whose life is forever changed, of course, Flint. And you've got the families that lost somebody. And in the comment sections everywhere, it's been thrown straight into prison. You know, the whole gamut. It's run the entire gamut. And so I kind of want to know what your thoughts are. I look at it from the point of view of trying to be like we stay here like Switzerland. I'm supposed to be neutral here and let you guys say whatever you want to say. But I mean, I have feelings too. I have feelings too about it. And let me read a couple comments. Let me read Tony's comment. Unfortunately, you can't cause the death of a person without being indicted. Otherwise, the general public is not served by the government. It gets put into the hands of people to determine the guilt, 100%. And Doug Rice says it was a horrible accident. I believe that there were factors that none of us will ever know. He was distracted by something. I don't think he should go to prison, just a horrible tragedy. Well, a lot of guys do think he should go to prison. I look at it this way. I got a 23-year-old boy. And again, I'm just thinking that if my son were to have a car wreck and do that, how his life would be changed and how I as a father would look at it. And again, this is not diminishing the family of the people that lost their lives at all. I'm looking at it from that perspective, and like my heart breaks thinking about, I'm sure the boy didn't intend to do it, and whether he's at fault or not, well, that'll be figured out. But still, you've seen the video. But I'm just thinking of how I would feel as a father if my son were in that situation at 23. That is such a life-changing event negatively, and how that's going to affect that family. And then, of course, you had the victims. They just went out fishing. And so many lives were changed that day. Now, in the comment section to a lot of these videos, everybody has an opinion. Everybody, I mean, again, he should do jail time. He was at fault. All of these things. You guys remember when it first came out, everybody talked about it was foggy. But I clearly remember Stephanie Hemphill Pellington saying that day there was no fog. She posted it on her social. So fog never, for those that paid attention to the people that were actually in the tournament, fog never had anything to do with it. Never had anything to do with it. I watched it happen in Paulding County when an elderly person mistook the gas break and caused the death and serious injury of a group of people. 80-year-old was taken to jail. Yeah, it's tough. Cam says, Cam said, it's crazy because a good friend of mine lost his life this past November on a motorcycle caused by other driver making an illegal left-hand turn in front of him. They gave him a misdemeanor. And a lot of people are talking about the charges, whether they're severe enough or not severe enough. Now, let's see. Atlanta Outdoors. I won't share it, but I think some people need to see the consequences of not paying attention. If I kill someone under the influence of alcohol or on my phone driving, it's manslaughter. Yeah. Now, Colton Posey says, look here. The thing is, anyone operating machinery should do so with caution. Intent is important. So is sympathy. Did he mean to crash? Does he feel sorrow for what he did? It should be factored. Now, you can read, and I don't think I've got it pulled up anymore, but you can read his attorney's statement. His attorneys put out one. Brendan Glover, I feel like how big a situation becomes is based on how big the outlash is. Sometimes I agree with that. His attorney basically said, hey, look, kid feels terrible. And I am paraphrasing. Kid feels terrible. Also, too, when a grand jury indicts you, it is based upon the lowest common factor of the law, and you're considered innocent until proven guilty. And an indictment does not mean you're guilty. It just means there was enough probable cause for the indictment. And also, his attorney said there was no alcohol involved, no drugs involved. He was not on his phone. He was not distracted, and that the facts of the case will come out in court. Now, this is his attorney, and he has to say those things, and I understand that. Eric said, I'd say with him saying it was foggy when it obviously wasn't, he should be held accountable and not let off easy. Had he not obviously lied about the fog, my opinion would be different. I don't remember him saying that. Maybe he did. I'm not saying he didn't. Brett McNeil, sorry, but if you killed one of my family, I think his age has less than nothing to do with his accountability. Let him go to the jury and do time if it's needed. Hey, listen, I agree with you. I'm just saying, I was just putting that as, I got a 23-year-old boy. If it was my son, just how I would feel knowing that his life got changed so much. I'm not saying the boy's innocent or guilty or whatever, and that his age really has nothing to do with it. You're right, 100%. I'm just saying, I was looking at it from that point of view because my boy is that same age. Now, Eric, also not having proper certification makes it even worse. Yes, I agree with you, but when I read this statement here from in a little bit, also that actually might help him legally, and we'll get to that. I am reminded that driving a car, boat, plane, or ATV is a privilege and not a right. Absolutely. What's up, Peg Leg? But it's everywhere. And of course, with social media now, you're guilty until proven you're guilty until proven innocent, these days. Now, the video is damning in a way, for sure. And it's not going to bring the deceased back. Okay, Cam says, I feel that if he was under the influence on electronic screen, on phone, etc., then he should be charged. But an accident is an accident. I would be upset if it were my family, but him doing time isn't going to bring the deceased back. It's not. But again, we live in a society where, there are penalties. There are penalties. Now, Hog Wild Fishing said, I don't know if he said it was foggy, but I know it was being told by people from around the tournament that there was fog on the lake. I never saw anything where he said anything other than apologizing, and I haven't seen that. I do know a lot of people said it was foggy that morning, and you know how once a story breaks, and gosh, with social media, it's like a spider web. It just goes everywhere, and eventually you get back down to the truth. His life is ruined regardless of whether he goes to jail. Killing people is not usually something people move on from. It's going to be tough. It's a bad situation in general. We shouldn't be so gung-ho to throw someone's life away because one day you could be put in the same situation at any time. Yeah, I agree. But again, now we have to look at it, of course, from the other points of view of the families who's, their family member just went out fishing. So, we're talking a lot about Flint. We don't want to, disregard that. And I know I might feel 100% different too if that was my son on the boat or my family member that got unalived. I don't know what I can say on TikTok with these things. How I would feel. I don't know. Boating accidents, unfortunately, are nothing new. I know two people that deceased in that died in boating accidents several years ago, and I got ran slap over one day myself head on while I was still sitting still. It happens. Unfortunately, you can't take the life of another and just get a do better. You're right. It sucks because it's an accident, and he will definitely have to live with the consequences. That's a scar that's on there forever. We do know that. That's going to happen with him. I mean, I think of listen, guys, I feel guilt and shame for things that I did that are nowhere near on the magnitude of this. Sometimes I think the good Lord leaves those memories and those scars on you as a reminder. Like, sometimes I just lay in bed and I'm like, man, I wish I'd have never done that, or I wish I'd have never done this. But it's a reminder of, yeah, but you did it. And now don't ever do it again. This situation is different. I'm just talking about me. Now, Patricia Leanne Shaw says it's completely irresponsible. I really hope they let Flint release a statement about what his end of things are. If there were survivors, they should have their side of things put out too. I will say this, and I'm going to read one more from Hog Wild before I say something about that, Tyler. Everything today about news is spreading opinion pieces, not the actual facts of the situation. That I agree with. I'll be honest with you guys. I reached out to Flint right after it happened. And I told him that when the day came, if he wanted a safe space to talk about it, that he was more than welcome to do that here. I didn't say I agreed with him, and I let him know that, but I just told him if he ever needed a platform to speak on it, he could. And he said, thank you very much. But he's not going to talk about it until after the trial. You're not going to get much out of that, because any good attorney is going to tell him, nah, we don't say nothing. And a lot of you guys, now multiple families just lost their loved ones too. This is a case where if if he's respectful and does time, he will get to parole out and maybe make a difference / save his reputation. And I don't know. Brady Hawkins, tough situation for him and the family, but there is no need for speed on the water, and his graphs could have been blocking the view. He shouldn't have been going that fast with 2 boats present in the video. Now, that's another thing that is brought out. A lot of this is speed, and we'll get back to the actual stuff I want to read to you, but speed. Many, many, many people calling for speed limits, speed restrictions. But even in the press conference, the gentleman from the Alabama game, I don't know exactly what agency, but let's just say the Alabama Game and Wildlife or whatever it was, that did the investigation, he specifically said speed was not a factor. The boat was going 67 miles an hour. And for those of you that were, or that have been, or run bass boats, 67's booking it. It's pretty fast. How did he not see them? I don't know. I really don't know. Now, Brady Hawkins has put out something that a lot of people have said. The sun glare could have been in his view. Now, I will say this. I watched the video for that reason several times. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the sun was to his back. But that is a possibility as far as that. That wasn't a very big boat. I still think he should have seen it. Again, I wasn't. What about the guide on the other boat knowing what was going on the day of the lake and still choosing to fish in the middle of the channel? Is he responsible for that at all? I'm going to read you something here a second, Eric, that kind of addresses that situation. And let me go ahead and read it. And again, you guys, you're going to see me reading. You're not going to be able to see what I'm reading from, but Cerebral Tackle put out, all these guys put out the videos on it, but I'm in the comment section. So let me go ahead and flip over to this. And so you guys are I'm going to read you this guy's statement. And this guy is a 28, he's retired Game and Wildlife or something like that. I'll read it in a second. Then you have a response from Cerebral, and then you have another response from this guy. I just want you guys to hear this and think of trial situation and kind of something, Eric, about what you just said. And again, I'm just reading. I'm not making an opinion whether it's right or wrong. So you guys listen to this. Okay. This is from a man. His YouTube name is CC Havana 1. He was a federal game warden for 28 years. He retired 2 years ago. And he goes, here's my take on it. So as for who was at fault, ... Mr. Davis. But it may not be as clear as you think. If the guide boat actually was using an anchor, it would be more obvious. However, the guide boat's trolling motor was deployed, and it is assumed, without any other information, he was spot locked. Now, here's where this kind of, I was like, whoa, listen to this. If he was not physically anchored and the vessel was underpowered via the trolling motor or was even drifting, the guide boat would be considered underway. As such, you have to establish who was the giveaway vessel. The easy way to determine that is by the navigation lights, starboard or right, the green, or port left, red lights. If you approach a vessel that's underway and you see the port side, which is red, you are the giveaway vessel if you're approaching it, and you are responsible to take evasive actions. Conversely, if you see green or starboard, the other vessel is the giveaway vessel, and you maintain course and speed. According to the video, Mr. Davis struck the guide vessel on the starboard side, so that would mean the guide boat was actually the giveaway vessel and is required to take evasive action if he was considered underway, while Mr. Davis's vessel was the stand-on vessel. Failure to maintain a proper lookout, this is where Mr. Davis was in the wrong. This navigation rule requires the captain of a vessel to maintain 360-degree awareness for other vessels and obstructions. However, if the guide boat was considered underway, he was also required to maintain a proper lookout. And considering he was the giveaway vessel, the guide shares the blame. Also, if the captain was a licensed guide, he would know those rules. If I was Mr. Davis, that would be my defense in both the criminal and civil cases. I think manslaughter charges are a stretch if you're not going to charge the guide. Now, Cerebral replied, nope. Davis was operating inside the buoy whereas he should have maintained the outside path by law. Like the law enforcement official said, he did not follow the rules of the road. He was supposed to swing right outside the buoy. He did not. He is 100% at fault. Yes, the trolling motor was down, but the official said the guide boat was stationary. Yes, I also assumed he was spot locked, but they said stationary. Also, like I said above, he wasn't supposed to be on that heading. Now, this gentleman answers this way. Cerebral. This is what a good defense attorney would use. It is based on the rules of road, and if it was my investigation, it's a consideration. Look up the definition of vessel underway. It doesn't matter if that vessel was stationary or not if it was not anchored. An unanchored vessel, which is the vessel underway, is subject to the same rules of the road, stationary or not. Now, maybe there's something in a state law. State laws can be more strict, but never more lenient. Mr. Davis not having a safety boating certificate may actually help him against his manslaughter and assault charges. Many times, knowingly is an element that must be proven. Since he didn't take the course, he couldn't have knowingly violated the rules of the road. I've had that happen in some of my cases. So in light of that, not maintaining a lookout, 360-degree awareness is a violation of the rules of the road with an unanchored vessel underway, and both vessels are obligated to avoid a collision. My case, I would find out why the guy didn't see Mr. Davis approaching, if for nothing else, just to document it. A vessel drifting is also considered a vessel underway. Now, I've never investigated an accident where one of the vessels is spot locked, because that's a little bit after my time. Now, just, he still thinks Mr. Davis was at fault. He's just throwing out an argument that if you were a defense attorney or something, that they could possibly argue. So what do you guys think about that? And again, this is just one man's comment that was, he's retired, federal game warden, as opposed to, us. I don't know the rules. But what do you guys think about that? And so, we're just kind of, I saw that this morning. And I'm like, I didn't really know the definition of a vessel underway. And again, this is not saying the guide boat's at fault, at all. I'm just saying that guy says, though, that if you're a good defense attorney, you could argue that. And it's very interesting when you see things like that. Now, again, I think there's so much we don't know. But I was just reading you that off the comments. So that's kind of interesting when I see things like that. Just to consider, just considerations, because at the end of the day, they're going to sit in a courtroom. They're going to sit in front of a jury. And we do know that criminal cases are harder to prove than a civil case. We learned that from OJ, right? OJ got off criminally, but he got sued civilly. I mean, the burden is not as high in a civil case. So there's a lot of things. And this course is not even taking into account the lawsuits against all the other participants. But when I read that, I went, that's kind of interesting. So let me read some of your things. If he didn't lift at any point approaching the guide boat, flat out on the gas, looking at the grass, or he didn't, no, I mean, it don't look like he did. It don't look like he did. That's interesting. I'm not sure if that will be the precedent that is followed, but it sounds like an interesting possibility. I promise you both sides will know everything that took place heading up to the accident, including what everyone had for dinner the night before. Yeah, absolutely, Tony. That's what, I mean, for sure. Now, amazing how something you love doing can destroy your life. True. But I mean, didn't you find it interesting? Like if you're not anchored, you're underway and your boat's turned this way, technically you can be at fault by the definition of the law. Now, again, I mean, like I said, I just saw the video and it's awful. And it's just a terrible thing. But yeah, it will be years before a judgment is handed down, Eric B. Richards. I don't know. I don't know how quick Alabama works. What do you guys think, though, about, first off, about that? He basically said he thinks manslaughter charges are a stretch. If not manslaughter, then what is it? I don't know. I'm trying to be the one guy that's not just throwing out there. I'm just trying to see it from all points of view. After being in 2 huge court cases as someone going against the defense, he needs to get plenty of maritime professionals for his defense. And I'm sure they'll do that. But what do you guys think about the argument about boat speed? Do we need to slow it down? Are 250s and all that, is it too much horsepower? Given that we talk about all the time now. We talk all the time. And again, this probably didn't happen in this case. Slick Johnson, what's up, buddy? The guide boat motor was running. Were they moving? I don't know. But when the first boat got there, the guide boat was in reverse. So, yeah, like I said, I was reading. I don't know if you heard that, Slick. I was reading a comment that was put out by a guy on Cerebral Tackles. He did that video, but I always read the comment section. And so that's what he was talking about, whether it was underway, who was doing what. And again, time will tell. But that is just something that the defense may be able to use in that situation. It will be interesting to watch how it plays out. And again, like none of this is going to bring those guys back, which I hated. And you're right, they just went out to fish. And I think Flint was just going to fish. He was running to a spot. So it is just, it's terrible all the way around. But at the end of the day, something's going to happen in court. And you're going to have the government with their case, and you're going to have his defense attorneys with their case, and they're going to argue out, and you're going to have a jury of peers sitting there going, yeah. They got to decide. It could be more the location of the accident, more so than the speed. Well, they did say, he was on for a mile. I don't know. I watched the video, and instead of watching the actual accident, I was trying to look at shadows. I was trying to see where the sun was at the given time. I was trying to look for some of those other things that any good defense attorney, they're going to bring it up. I mean, honestly, the fact that he didn't slow down at all kind of just logically to me is like he didn't see him or he expected him. I don't know what he expected. Again, when I talked to him, I didn't talk details with him. I didn't ask him. I just told him he had a safe place. But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But what do you guys think about the horsepower? They said it was not a factor, but you've got people in every comment on, and there's 152 videos on YouTube about it. And again, I've read the comments on every single one of them. I know there's so many people screaming prison time and horsepower. But we've known since COVID, because we talk about fishing and fishing pressure. We don't talk about the boats and all that. But how many more people are out there? Is it time they think about it? And again, this is up to you guys. I'm not for nor against. I'm asking you what you guys think. Boats already have motor limits for what is safe. If that happened on the highway with trucks or cars, the charges are usually much more severe, possibly. You're right. The only issue with the horsepower limitation is a 200 on a 17-foot and a 200 on a 20 1 foot is a good 30 miles per hour difference. Edward Folk, he wasn't paying attention at all. So it's an accident, but if you accidentally hit someone, and I think he's got something else to say, and he'll bring it back up, you would still get in trouble. And listen, hey, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to hear what you guys, and this is from TikTok, and we got it going on YouTube, what you guys think. In the video, it looks like everybody was sitting down there on the other boat. It happened so fast. And I know there's some that have got it blowed up. And again, like I said, I just choose not to really try to pay attention to that because it's terrible to watch. Is there a possibility for a plea deal? I'm sure that that's going to be discussed. It just depends on what the prosecution wants to do. I mean, if you're a prosecutor, you're representing the state and those families. He's going to try to get something. I can tell you right now, he's not going to go for a slap of the wrist. He's going to try to get something and get the most that he can. And the defense attorney is going to try to get nothing. So eventually they're probably going to meet in the middle somewhere. Feel bad for him though. Yeah, I know it's terrible, Edward. It's a whole terrible situation. Definitely need to back off on the speed. These boats, me and my son have had trouble on the water with bass boat guys thinking they have the right of way all the time. We've had multiple instances where close calls was too close. And I agree. Now, is that the speed or is that the driver? It's almost like no, it really ain't. I was going to say, the guns don't ever shoot people. It's the people that do that. But I get what you're saying. Just like the illegal alien truck driver that for those 3 people in Florida. Yeah. It's terrible. Now, they have recommended horsepower. No, they have recommended horsepower ratings. They can't limit horsepower on bass boats and have 2,000 horsepower pleasure boats. Sure. I was in Tennessee this weekend, and I came around a corner pretty quick, and the sun hit me right in the face, I believe is what you're going to type. If going that kind of speed, you should definitely be paying attention to your surroundings. Hey, listen, I have been in bass boats running 70-something miles an hour. And I have, honestly, there's been a time or two in my life where the guy driving, and I just close my eyes, and I'm like, Lord, get me home, because there ain't no brakes on them. So, and I trusted the guy that was driving it. That's the thing. I trusted the guy that was driving. Let's see. They can limit horsepower for the weight of the vessel. Yeah, who do you limit? Do you limit all the boats, like Jeremy Conkright said? Now, Tim Hancock said, when I was in the boat business, we would never equip a boat with a motor that the boat wasn't rated for. We could have been held liable for an accident, but boats are now bigger and rated for much bigger engines. Now, Hogwild said that's not a speed issue. It's a driver issue. Dead Rabbit says power to weight ratios. Derek Spicer says, how did he not see the other boat? I would understand getting up on plane, but he should have had a clear view up on plane like that. And again, listen, these are all the questions that are going to come out. Derek, I have no idea. I have no idea. That's why when I was looking at the video, I was trying to look shadows. I was trying to see if the sun, because look, the sun, if I seen the video right, you correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm looking at the guy that's holding the fish, if you look at the guy that's holding the fish, when he's unhooking the fish, the shadow is cast from his hand onto his chest. That's about the best I can kind of tell from watching the video. Is it possible that as he was driving, because that wasn't a very big boat, if you look at it, it set low like a bass boat, and I know the guys were on there and everything. So again, is it possible that with a little glare on the water and then maybe it mixed in? I don't know. I don't know. And also, too, Jeff Brazil's got a good point. My Allison has an Optimax 250 and will run 100, but it rarely sees 65. A lot of bad things can happen. Let me scroll back up and finish reading your comment. A lot of bad things can happen at high speed with the slightest lapse in paying attention. Yeah. Just because you can, does that mean that you should, right? I want to read a couple more things. That these are recommendations that the grand jury also put out as well. Now, they had with their charges, and then they had some recommendations. And you're right. If he was looking down at his graph, yeah, he's not going to see them. But again, we don't know. What in the boat? That's a big thing. How do you prove or disprove? I do know that they probably already checked his phone if the people said he was not on his phone. The people that are charging him. They've already checked that. Because I saw people there was one comment Here it goes. TikTok in 3, 2, 1. And you saw a ton of those comments. Yeah, well, they're wrong. I'm sure they didn't go back in their comments and say, hey, I was wrong. They ain't going to do that. They were able to throw out there. S. Walker 139 said, sun glare and backdrop of a hilly terrain. See, that could be the possibility. For sure. Here's the following recommendations from the grand jury to the public. All fishing tournaments held in the state of Alabama should require proof of boater safety certification, boating licenses, and any other license required by law. That seems to be a given. Evidently, they don't enforce it that much. All fishing tournaments in the state of Alabama to facilitate safety education for the participants. I'm curious to see if they ever implemented that, how that would work. The facilitators owe a duty to participants, non-participants who happen to be on the water during the tournament, and to the general public to promote safety during tournaments. I mean, those seem to be like givens. They seem to be givens and all that. But see, S. Walker 139 on TikTok. Sun, glare, backdrop of hilly terrain. You guys think about it, and I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down. If I missed your comment, throw it back down again. You guys have all, whether you're fast or slow, whether, however you like to drive. S. Walker says, with houses and docked boats, the boat appeared docked until it wasn't. I can't argue that. So, I mean, I can't argue for or against that, but that is a plausible as you're going. I don't know if Brett Matthews is still on here, but I don't know if he remembers that one time we fished a Hammond's tournament. And it was this, I think the accident was about 7? I don't know what time exactly happened here, but I know we blasted off and we were going down. And Brett, if you're still on here, you remember there was a kayak guy in the middle. And we didn't see him till we got about 100 yards. He did not have any safety stuff. And Brett saw him in time to make the move to get away around him. But, boy, we didn't see him at all. Now, this is a boat, not a kayaker, but still, I don't know. You guys threw up a lot. Justin Fravel, I'll get $100,000 fish caught on a mega bass sleeper craw at the Lake of Ozarks this weekend. Yeah, I saw that. I think Big Al was there. Nick D said he was looking at the guy who caught the fish. That's what a lot of people have said. It's kind of tough to tell in the video. Now, unless he said he was doing that, but even with it blowed up, it's so fuzzy you can't tell, but that is a possible explanation. The whole thing is just bad. Now, Jeff Brazil said this, I've had the sun at my back create terrible glare in front of me on the water. And I think if you go back and look at that video, that's just where the sun was. And again, not making excuses. That's the only thing it could be unless he had his eyes closed. Well, I mean, Nick D, you might be right. But then Jeff Brazil just said, I've had the sun at my back create a terrible glare in front of me on the water. So there's two kind of different possibilities right there. And that's kind of what I want to do so that, we could put a name with some of these comments and everything, because both of you might be right. At the same time, you both might be right. I don't know. Fardog said, could have is not permissible in court. Did he have a GoPro on shooting from the motor to the front bow of the boat, which was on and running? I do not know that information, Fardog. I have no idea. I know a lot of pros do. Tony said, keep in mind, a grand jury is made up of citizens that are presented with facts as they are known and an explanation of the law. They determine if there is enough for charges, not conviction. That's what the grand jury did. That's what the grand jury did. Now, Patricia Leanne Shaw said he was doing something with his graphs that distracted him. He never saw the other boat. See, at the same time, we weren't on the boat. How do we know that? I've been one to stare at my mapping while running, so it is possible that he was looking at his graph, just like you said, and it is possible. The problem is we don't know as the general public right now. We have no idea unless he has come out and said that. Unless he's come out and said that, we just don't know. Now, Brady Hawkins says, I can vouch for that also. So I was thinking, are you vouching for the glare in front of you? S. Walker 139, no investigation they can do will duplicate the exact moment to which it happened. Exactly. So they got to go based upon what they see, what is known. And again, I'm sure there's different levels, like layers of an onion to these laws that we don't know about. And it happens so fast, I don't know. Let's see. He throws his hands up right before impact, so he had to see him. Well, yeah, Messick. I mean, right before impact, though. I mean, again, bass boats don't have brakes, so maybe. Eric Richards says, sun to the back could have temporarily blinded him off the graph screen. Lots of things could have happened, but no matter how many rules are in place, accidents will still happen. Nick D says it's unfortunate, but we will probably never, ever know the down to earth truth. Possibly. And think about this. Now, think about this too. How many times has something traumatic happened to you, like a car wreck or something like that? In the moment, everything happens like in a blur so fast. It is very hard to remember details down to the exact, right? So even if, let's just say whatever Flint says is 100% the gospel truth as the best that he knows it. In that situation and in that spur of the moment and everything like that, the last, little bit, it would be really, I would be really impressed if he could remember everything down. Because you got to remember too, he flew through the air too. So there's a lot of, trauma going on in everything with him too. My question is, why didn't the other people jump out of the boat? You can clearly hear the bass boat coming. It's not like, and now you didn't finish your comment. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think people saying he was going too fast is the dumbest thing, honestly, Nick D. And again, that you're more than welcome to have your opinion on that for sure. I do know that after hearing the people charging him saying speed was not an issue, they basically said operator inattentive, basically wasn't paying attention. That's what they say caused it. Not speed, not anything else, not being on the phone, just wasn't paying attention. So I don't know how you're going to argue all that, but a lot of people have said he was going too fast and these bass boats, blah, 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 all that stuff. And it's also because you don't think they're actually going to hit you in the moment. It's why they weren't standing up. We've all been on that where people come close and you kind of think about being on the lake and you've kind of looked at a boat coming like, is he going to turn or not? But I just thought that like, again, what that guy presented as cerebral, because he's argued cases like this. He's been in the courtroom about who's really supposed to be the one that has to give way by the rule of the law. Maybe this situation is different, but by the rule of the law, if you're reading it and this is turned this way and this boat's coming this way and this is his, starboard side, I believe I read it right. I'm going to make sure I said this. Let me make sure I go back and double check this real quick. And yeah, starboard side. Okay, let me get back on you guys. Find this over here. So by the law, starboard side, boat coming this way, this boat is supposed to stay on course. This boat is supposed to move. If this boat is unanchored in any way and is considered underway, it's going to be interesting to see them argue that. Get Your Fish On did a video and it showed it. He did kind of enhance it. I had a guy come 10 to 15 foot from me on pad, full blast, and it looked like he was going to hit me on tuna. So that's what I'm saying. It happens a lot. Then he turned around and said he thought it was his son. Yeah, I don't know about that one for sure. That don't seem like a great excuse. Sun glare is tough on the water with or without shades, for sure. I saw his hands too, but I think the DA is going to hammer on speed. Like you said, there are no brakes in a boat. But how can he hammer on, and again, I don't know the laws in Alabama. How can he hammer on speed if there's no law against the speed? I don't know. Maybe it's like, well, there was some speed behind me. I just want to see how they argue it. I wasn't going to mention this, but my best friend ran over the middle of a pontoon boat, killed the driver of a pontoon in the night tournament. Hey, listen, Far Dog, it has happened. And it's unfortunate no matter what. And whether, again, at this point now, we know certain things for sure. 3 individuals are dead. 2 were injured. Flint got arrested. Actually, he got booked last night. I think $115,000 bail. He bailed out. He's been charged. It's going to go to court. Those are facts that are not disputable at this moment. We know that that's going to happen. What is going to be interesting is to see how the state brings their case against him, how his defense attorneys go. And this is just a criminal. Then it's going to turn right around and everybody that's getting sued, because he's not the only one getting sued. I believe MLF is getting sued. And again, I didn't do a lot of research on that before this show. But there's a lot of civil lawsuits that are going to happen too. The guy I bought my boat from hit a john boat at night with no lights, but everyone ended up being okay. Yeah, and again, at night it's a totally different situation because me and Farmer about ran all over a pontoon when we were fishing 3 or 4 months ago at night that had 0 lights and was just parked out in the middle. And Farmer was not happy with that gentleman, I can tell you that. Hog Wild Fishing said they're not even going to be bothered by a speed in that courtroom. The only people complaining about speed are the people on social media and the general public. Again, you're right. Fishing with Paul. I'm surprised boat makers haven't utilized an active air brake system that some of exotic cars use to adjust aerodynamics to help it slow down. Yeah. I mean, what would you do? You're talking about like the things on like NASCAR that when they lose control, the things come up to keep them on the ground. Maybe something like that. Patricia Leanne Shaw says, I would say they checked his electronics. I guarantee you they probably have checked everything. And Aaron says the only person that are going to win from this are the lawyers. Possibly. Yeah. 100%. I would say before they came up with charges, before they went to a grand jury, they checked his phone. They probably checked his graphs. They probably checked every single thing possible. Whatever the cause is, there will be some changes for sure. It's graphs or something. Okay, well, let's throw that out there. What changes? I'll bet there's new laws after this. Okay, what laws? What could we do to change? What do you think, whether you're for them or against them, what do you think will come out? Got to love those guys who run up and down the lake at night with no lights. That happens more than I'd like to admit on Lake Greenwood. It does happen. Again, of course, this was in, no fog, definitely, not bad conditions, because they also said weather did not play a part. Speed has to be a factor, right? Speed determines the reaction time too. Sure. The good that can come out of this might be the reminder that people need to be more careful. And you know what, Stephen, you're probably right. Rodney Hayes, 95, said speed limits will come out regarding this. Yeah, I mean, quite possibly. How do you enforce them? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're wrong. How do you enforce them? We don't have even enough people out there now. We can't even keep boat ramps open here on Lanier. The Corps doesn't have the manpower. So will it come down to the state or the counties? Is that another way they got people out there with radar guns? I mean, how do you enforce that? What is the cost to the local government, state government, or whatever to enforce that? Because it's very easy to say, yes, speed limits, but then you got to enforce them. It ain't like Yellow Creek Road up here where every 3 miles you got Cherokee County sitting on it. I just don't see that happening. At least, in the beginning, I would really like to see how that would happen. If they did it. I'm not necessarily saying speed limit should come out. I'm just like, how would they enforce it? Dead Rabbit says, time to make people accountable for their doings. And this might be one of them situations. He might be held accountable. I'm sure they did, Hog Wild. Speed can be a factor and not be a cause, Hog Wild says. 20 and 21-foot bass boats factory standards are 250. Now, DC talks about them having radar guns up north. And yeah, now I've heard about that. I've heard about that up north. But at the same time, I'm just thinking about Lake Lanier. And I will tell you this, in the last 5 years on Lake Lanier, I have been checked one time on the water for a license. And it was by the Forsyth County Police Department. Forsyth County. And they were just doing license checks and all that. But other than that, I've never been checked. I want to read a couple of these from TikTok. Limiters on new motors could be something, but then you have all the old motors for sure. S. Walker 139. We don't have the resources to enforce speed limits, so we can move past that. That's what he said. And again, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how you would enforce it. Now, then again, Tyler says you can't enforce it unless you make manufacturers limit horsepower. When is his court date? Does anyone know? They may have said it, but I do not know. I mean, it probably hasn't been set because you're going to have discovery. You're going to have, The prosecution's got to give the defense everything. I've watched enough Law and Order to know it there's things that's going to happen, pretrial motions and all that stuff. So I don't know that they can even set it yet. My hope is that limits and regulations improve. That's the only way to improve the situation. Rodney Hayes, 95. I've never been checked to see if I even had a boater's license, just a fishing license only. Hey, you're right. That was mine, And what was funny is the guy checked my license and he goes, "You're the guy that does that podcast." And I said, "Is he going to get me out of a ticket?" And he goes, "Nope." But I didn't. I had it. So Nick D says, definitely need a boater's license. Now, S. Walker 139 said they've already regulated horsepower. All 18 and above computers regulate to 250 horse. And then Nick D says, I've been checked on tuna. Dan Parker, you can't police speed on the water no more than you can on the road. This was simply the boat driver not paying attention. We should all practice defensive driving on the water just like you do on the roads, head on a swivel at all times. And I will tell you this, Dan, the older I get, the slower I drive and the more I'm like that. I'll be honest, and you guys know it too. We can't even police wake zones. I get it for sure. You guys know it too. When we're in our 20s and our 30s, we're invincible, right? When we drive a car, we fly. We do things, we take chances at 20 and 30, that, especially 20s, 18, when you get your license on up to maybe, you start kind of getting maybe a family or something. We all do that. I've done it. I'm guilty of it. But you know what I told my son and my daughters when they were driving? And you guys think about this. When you're on the road today and you drive and another car comes this way, you don't think nothing about it, right? We don't think nothing about it. But the reality is you're 10 foot from death. You cheat death 150, 200, 300, 400 times a day. You don't think about that. That you are literally 10 foot from death. And our brains are not conditioned to think that way, especially when we're young. Now, as I get old, man, I'm hitting the brakes early and all that. And my wife starts laughing at me. She's like, "You are getting old." I said, "Well, hell yeah, I got precious cargo. I don't want nobody to hurt you, baby." But think about that. When you were 18 and you were, think about it. Every day you drive down the road and a car comes this way. Think about the separation. One little accident, just like happened here. Now, this is a different situation, but one little not paying attention, one little a medical emergency from somebody coming the other way or even you, and it's there, it's done. So, yeah, as I get older, I am a lot more cautious than I used to be. But we just don't think about that at that age, and he's 22. He's 22. Maybe, I don't know if he was 21 when it happened. Whatever, he's a young kid. I promise you, 67 miles per hour going down the road, that was the last thing that was on his mind. Because we don't think about that. We have confidence in our driving, right? DNR checks you for warrants when they stop you. Well, I'm glad I didn't have any. I've never been checked in 2 years. I've lived on Sinclair. I got checked regularly. Okay, that's interesting. Tracy Coker says they check everything. When my best friend was killed on Chattooga in 19, they impounded both boats for a long time. I know the guy who hit him too. It wound up all stemming from a medical emergency. And I will tell you this, Coker, I remember when Beasley had his accident. And again, we all know how the stories came out right there at the beginning and everything. But as it went on in time, I can just remember his dad saying that his boat was impounded as well. The boats were impounded as well for the longest of times. The longest of times. So you're right. They do that. Let's see. Speed did not cause the wreck. Limiting speed doesn't change anything. Tyler says, I'm just saying the outcome would have been different if he was going 50 as opposed to 67. Not saying you can't go fast, but just do it safely. Fishing organizations can add a GPS to the units for sure. That way they could do it. I'm thinking about the states. If a tournament wants to be proactive and do those things for sure, but if it's a law in a state that you can only go 55 miles an hour in a boat, how does the state enforce it? Dead Rabbit says, I'm 52, no boater's license, been running outboard since I was 12. Yeah. It would be hard to plane off with the rev limiters on those engines with that boat weight. Yeah, it would be. Again, very simple. Boats don't have brakes. And that's what I always tell everybody. Moist Donut. Yeah, they can monitor the speed. That's what he's saying. Now, Now, I will tell you this. High school tournaments have like a 50 or 60 mile per hour limit. Do they check? Nick D, I'm just curious. Do they check the graphs, or is that more of a suggestion in a rule? I mean, it might be a rule, but is that one of those rules that are suggestive? How do they enforce that? I'm just curious. Is there a requirement age to operate a boat? You know what? I don't want to give an answer to that because I don't know exactly what it says. Somebody in the comment section, I'm absolutely positive, knows that answer. I had a friend who said we should have professional jurors because a jury appears it's impossible. Well, here's another thing. Let me ask you guys this. And it's back to the high school thing. Now I'll ask my question. No, just if you get caught flying by someone who's going the limit, they could DQ you. So it's kind of like, it's really hard to enforce. How about this? You're supposed to have an impartial jury, right? Do you think it was smart for the district attorney to put that video out there beforehand? You have to find people who have not watched that video. Now it's all over social media. How can you be impartial if you've seen it? I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm asking that question. Could he have messed up the jury pool? Would a change of venue possibly happen now because of it? Because everybody in that section of that town, and you know how it goes through a town, they know about it. It's been in the newspaper. It's been on the news. And now, he came out, he put that on the news. Hey, here's a video. How do you get an impartial jury? You know what I'm saying? And again, he's smarter than I am. I'm just a dumb old boy up here in North Georgia trying to figure out, these questions. Whatever the case, Flint will never be able to unsee that moment of impact. See, that's what I'm saying. That's some scars, man. Mental scars. Physical scars are one thing. Mental scars are some that sometimes they're much, much worse. Hog Wild said the guy could have been going 5 miles per hour or 100 miles per hour. And if he wasn't paying enough attention to see that boat, then he wasn't paying enough attention to see that boat. Yeah, let me fix my TikTok here, guys, real quick, because I'm an hour in. 100%. I mean, again, that's what basically they said is the cause of it. Hold on a second. My phone's typing in slow here because I don't want to lose my people watching on TikTok. And now we have resumed it, so you guys are good. Cody Jones had a little accident over the weekend, flipped my kayak over, and I won't lie, it scared me a little. First thing I thought was the college angler that just passed it. Even that happened fast. Yeah, right? I agree with you, dude. Now, Trey Crenshaw said, maybe I missed it, but I thought in Georgia, if you were over a certain age, you didn't have to have a boating license, like born before 2000 or something like that. That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to throw out because I don't exactly know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe I should know. I don't. Just glad I could keep my head above water and get to shore, and happy to be here for this podcast today. Cody, we're happy you're here too. But again, like you said, even that happened fast. Now, Colton says, you got to watch these wardens in Alabama. They'll check your prostrate if you give them too much trouble. Hey, I believe it. Of course, at 5 miles per hour, you have more time to react. Anything you drive does more damage at high speed, for sure. I think the best thing we can do is just pray for everyone involved in a boating accident. And again, like, we're really talking about one side of the issue too, and I'm not meaning to do that. And again, I said at the beginning, I don't want to disregard how the people that were, their lives were tragically changed as well. I just don't have, we're talking about the information. I mean, they're affected forever. Forever. What Flint did is going to affect a lot of us down the line, possibly too, as well. Dan Parker said they do not check graphs for speed in high school tournaments. They expect the captains and the anglers to police themselves. And Dan, you probably would be honest in saying that some will be more apt to check than others, right? 100%. If you're born after 1997, you need a boater's license. And I believe that's the state of Georgia. The boat was in the middle of the lake in broad daylight with minimal waves on the water, clear skies, no fog. There was no reason to not see that boat from a mile away. And Hog Wild, you might be 100% correct. But then Jeff Brazil went up there and again earlier, and he said, wait, he's been driving with the sun to his back, and it put a glare on the water. And I think someone over here in TikTok was even saying, hey, it messes with the depth of things you see. Because he said there's high mountains in the background, there's boat docks. anything could have contributed to making that boat look like it was further away. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm just going based upon his comment. He could have not seen the other boat because he could not have seen the other boat because he never let off the throttle. That's the one thing that is the one thing, though, that is consistent with this. That's the one thing that's consistent. He didn't let off the throttle. Messick wants to know how I feel about it. Again, it's tragic. Not being there, man. Not being there. I don't know. It is the fact that he didn't let off the throttle that tells me one or two things. Either he was looking at his graphs and not paying attention, or with the sun and everything, the way it was sitting behind it, he didn't see it. So it's one of those two things. And I know that's kind of like, well, Danny, that's really not giving an answer. Because the answer is I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't in the boat. But the fact that he didn't let off is, to me, something that, okay, now we got to take into consideration. He didn't see him, or he was looking at something else. Even if it's like, Cerebral said he should have been on the outside of the buoy. Take all the other factors out of it. Full speed into the side of that boat. So either A, he didn't see it, or B, he wasn't paying attention. And now it's up to them to prove it. I don't know. I hate it for everybody involved. Oh, yeah. 5 years ago today, Eddie Van Halen passed away. Yeah, I know. I saw that. Sucks. Fred Ashcraft, none were on the boat nor driving, so we'll never know. We've all been in boats forever and one mistake away at all times. Yeah. Now, Dan, I've heard this too. I heard that he was looking at another boat/angler who had just hooked up one. This is hearsay at this point, so I'm not saying it's accurate, but that would explain why he didn't let off. And guys, how many of us have been in that situation when we are going down the road and we see a guy set the hook? And we've looked. We've all looked. Not saying that's the situation, like you said. We don't know exactly. But it is a possibility. Danny, how many boating accidents have we covered in the last 3 years involving bass boats since the onset of graphs becoming larger, especially at the helm? Now, listen. Been fortunate enough, the guys that I fish with don't have the big, huge units up front, but yeah. I don't know if that is a direct cause with any of this. Could be. It could be. I don't know what graphs he was running. See, that's the thing about it. There's so many different possibilities as to why this could have happened or why he didn't see the boat or whatever. What kind of throttle did he have? I probably would say he had a hot foot. There's not too many of them bass boys up there, them boats that I know that don't go with a hot foot. I'm not saying he did, but I can't think of the last time I've been in a newer bass boat where the guy didn't have a hot foot. On a boat, you're always 1 foot away or 1 inch away from a disaster at any moment. Graphs have been large for 15 years. What are you talking about? Okay, so again, that was Hog Wild's comment to the Far Dog. You're right. I mean, I don't know. Just a lot, guys, ain't it? It's just, and it's a terrible situation. It gives a black eye to the sport in more ways than one. And then again, like I said, we still got all the lawsuits that's going to be coming after all of this. That was supposed to be 2 comments. Oh, oh wow. I thought you were talking about Far Dog. I get what you're saying. I don't know, man. It is. The big thing to me is the presumption of being guilty before going to court by 90. And this happens in everything, doesn't it? With social media. It happens with everything in social media. That they see something. And again, that clip was what? 11 seconds. 11 seconds. It's pretty damning. It looks pretty damning for 11 seconds. But 11 seconds at 67 miles an hour goes by a lot faster than you think it does. And you go say, well, 11 seconds is 11 seconds. Yeah, sure it is. Sure it is, 100%. But at 67 miles per hour on a boat, on a lake, 11 seconds. I wish there was a way to figure out how far you could turn. You know what I'm saying? How much reaction time? What if it was just in the final 5 seconds he saw him and there was nothing he could do at that point? I don't know. Again, all of this, is just we're all speculating. Did Flint not have a camera running in his boat? I know some organizations require it to be running the whole tournament day. Yeah, somebody mentioned that comment earlier, and I don't know. I would think so. Most of them do because of somebody making an accusation against you or to be able to prove that you didn't break a rule or something like that. How did Flint survive? That boat was 10 feet at least in the air. That's another. I mean, listen. Yeah. I mean, that thing went airborne for sure. I don't know. And I don't even know what kind of injuries he might have gotten. And he may have had some, again, not as bad, definitely, as the people that were hit. Oh, you guys, yeah, Far Dog says, y'all hit the like button for me. Come on, chat, hit the like button. Everybody gets involved, Far Dog, in this comment section. We often forget to do that, and it's okay. Now, Patricia Leanne Shaw, you're right. Prayers for all involved. Rough life ahead. Yeah, for those that lost a loved one, for those that were injured, I'm sure, because they were serious injuries, right? Flint, the mental state. And that's the big thing, too, the mental state of what he's got to deal with. I mean, anybody who doesn't have a heart of stone, that's going to bottom. Has anyone ever had a hot foot malfunction? I have not. I have not. And I don't think that that's the case in this one, but I'm sure it's happened before, right? The thing that gets me is this would have been between two pontoons that did this. It wouldn't get this much attention. And that's probably true. But then if you play the game, you're going to have to understand that that's going to be out there forever, right? We do get the attention. I mean, Billy Bob down the road here cheats on his wife. Nobody cares, but the people involved. Professional athlete does it, and it's all over the news, right? And so that's just, I guess, when you play these upper level games, more scrutiny is going to be on you, for sure. But it's just so much involved. There's so many layers of the onion with this thing. But again, at the end of the day, you feel for the people that lost their lives. But like now I'm going back thinking about everything, especially after reading that comment off Cerebral. I mean, that honestly is, I guarantee you that's going to come out in court. My hot foot has been sticky, but you can always cut the boat off or put it in neutral no matter what. If I had a hot foot malfunction, just turn the key off or turn the wheel away from other boats. And think about this, though. Again, 11 seconds of going that fast. It seems like a long time, but in the heat of the moment and all that, and this definitely, I don't think had anything to do with this, but let's just say it did. How quick would you be able to function to get it neutral and turn and do all that? How much time would it have taken? And you guys would say, I could do it in a split second, but the honest God is, no, we couldn't. This happened at Smith Lake, and he was by himself. I don't think he had a marshal at all. So anyway, I mean, lots to think about, guys, on this whole entire situation. And you're going to see a lot on social media. But at the end of the day, do the digging for yourselves. Don't go by what somebody else has said about it. Don't go by anything that I've said today, for sure. But if you are interested, you can look at it. The facts of what happened are the facts of what happened. It's now what's going to happen down the road that's, going to affect you possibly in the future with new laws and regulations. I guarantee you with MLF getting sued, I believe they're one of the people in the civil suit and all that. That's going to change some things. I mean, you got to think of insurance. Think of insurance to run bass tournaments and things like that, or that these guys now might have to, there's a whole list of things that could change. Some for the good, some for the not so good. I do know a lot of people make emotional decisions when something happens. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Who's making these adjustments? I don't know. I asked, and it said a very low percentage of professional bass boats have hot foot throttles. Patricia Leanne Shaw, I'll tell you this. I have not been on a bass boat with anybody in the last 7 years whose boat I got on that didn't have a hot foot. And these are just your everyday guys around here. I mean, that's interesting if that's true. But to me, I think a hot foot in that situation, when it comes to safety and all that, if you ask when these guys are going 60, 70 miles an hour, and we all know how they're, if it chime walks a little bit and they got both hands on the steering wheel, to me, it would be almost harder to slow down with that throttle there than it would be to lift your foot. So I find that, who'd you ask, if you don't mind me asking you? Who said it was a very low percentage of professionals? I don't have a hot foot, but I only have a 115, but everybody I know has one. That's kind of what I'm saying. It's like, I can't remember being on a boat, bass boat. The last time I got on a bass boat that didn't have a hot foot. Hell, I had a hot foot I had like a 93 Pro Craft back in the day, back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. I had a hot foot. You ask Google, I don't know. Google may or may not be correct on that one. I don't know. Maybe because it might be added on after the fact. I have no clue. But I just, in personal experience, I honestly cannot remember the last time I got on a boat that didn't have a hot foot. A straight up bass boat. We ain't talking about pontoons and none of that, anything else, but just a straight up bass boat that I fished a tournament out of, or fun fish with anybody on Lanier, Allatoona, Chattooga, or not Chattooga, Notley, all these lakes. They all had them. Now it goes by sales. Well, maybe, but I think majority. I would like to know who fishes the elites, the NPFL, and MLF's highest thing that doesn't run a hot foot. I would be very, very curious of that. I agree. When you're catching wake, you want to keep those hands on the wheel. We don't have a hot foot, but it is a 94 Nitro, 90 horsepower. We could take a poll. We'll figure that out. I might put that out on the Fish North Georgia group page for all you bass boat owners. How many, I wouldn't be able to get all the pros, but how many of you have a hot foot and how many of you still use the hand throttle? I do believe he would have had a co in the boat. A good chance it would not have happened. I'll tell you this, Doug. I know that I fished with some tournaments with my cousin. Now he drives an Express now, but he was just getting started. And I want to say it was an Avid, something like that. It was a smaller, kind of a starter aluminum boat. 115 maybe on the back, did not go fast. And when we would take off at a tournament, he would be driving, and my job as the co is I was looking this way and I was looking that way because we was getting past. He couldn't run with the guys. So my job was to make sure he didn't cut one way or the other in front of somebody else. So I was constantly looking, and I'd be like, got one coming up on your left, and we'd let that pass, and got one coming up right, got one right behind you, not sure which way he's going to go yet. Going to your right. Just stay the course. That's how we worked it. So you might be right. Ask Ronnie Moore. I'll see what I can do. Only one I could think of would maybe Keith Poche, but he runs those smaller boats. Jeff Brazil says, I would venture to say 100% of all the pro circuits run a hot foot. Fardog says those numbers will be fishy because if boat manufacturers add that as an added feature, see what I'm saying? They could upcharge and have them all, upcharge. They all have them nowadays. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know of anyone that don't run a hot foot. Milton Burgess, Andy Morgan is the only pro that I know of that does not use a hot foot. So appreciate you joining us for that. So like I said, I think pros that don't use a hot foot are few and far between. Maybe Keith Poche. So just a couple. B Price. I don't think Ike runs a hot foot. Okay, B Price. So again, there's some out there, but they can't be a lot of them. And I could be wrong 100%, but appreciate the comment, B Price out there. Now, Patricia says, I would say 90% do not have a hot foot. All right, so here's our homework. We're going to find out how many of the pros have a hot foot and how many do not. I'll text the ones I know, see if they answer, and we'll see. A lot of them are in Alabama now getting ready for a lot of the ones I know are in Alabama getting ready for the Ultimate Angler. But I'll shoot them texts and say, hey, hot foot, yes or no, do you have it? I'll hit Drew Cook. I'll send out a bunch of them. I'll send it out to Welcher. I'll hit Trey McKinney up. I'll ask all of them. And we'll see. But at the end of the day, I don't think the hot foot sticking, even though it's a great conversation that we're having, And see, Far Dog says, no way, I think 99% run them. I think it's a great conversation. I don't think it had anything to do with this accident that we've been talking about today. But it is something to think about and to consider. But I still think, like I said, I think a hot foot would be safer to let off quicker, as long as it's adjusted right, and in good working order. So I don't know. Interesting. I just want you guys to kind of really consider all the things in this. Don't rush to judgment on all that. Ask Cobb Messick if you don't mind. Ask Brandon Cobb. But we'll come back and maybe we can get some answers, because the second I get off here, I'll hit all of them that I know and just ask them, do you run a hot foot or not? And just see. And I'll put the poll out on, and that's when we get done here, I'll go to the Fish North Georgia group page and I'll put a poll for you bass boat owners. How many of you have a hot foot? And just give them 2 answers, yes or no. And just see what that percentage comes up to be. But again, when it comes to this Flint Davis situation, though, guys, first of all, if we're smart, we don't rush to judgment, even though we've seen everything. Just don't rush to judgment just yet. Don't be one of those on social media screaming one way or the other. Let it play out. That's the way it's supposed to happen. Cody Jones, I can text John Cruz, see what he says. I'm friends with Zona too. He might be able to give me an answer. Do it. Let's come back tomorrow and we'll talk about it. Tracy Coker says, I've got one on my 374V. A lot of people do. But let's just kind of, even if our personal opinions kind of steer us one way or the other, let's just kind of let everything come together. Let it play out. And you're right. It's going to take a while for it gets to the court. But just with your comments, you guys that follow us, and we've had some fantastic comments today. And I know some of you guys do feel one way or the other. I mean, 100%. And yeah, I'll ask Clint for sure. Let me read this. Because this is from the Fish School on Facebook. Appreciate you joining us, by the way. Fishing tournaments have had a long history of being negligent with their safety culture. Safety meetings are more to discuss rules of minimum fish size and time to weigh in. And it's been a challenge just to get fishermen to actually sit around for the safety meetings at local tournaments. With the amount of unsafe driving I've seen from a bass boat, specifically in tournament situations, I'm surprised things like this haven't happened more often. More fishermen on the water, more tournaments, ... The Fish School, I can believe it, 100%. Call a local boat dealer and ask them how many bass boats they sell over 19 footers equipped with a hot foot already in it. And I mean, hey, look, we can do all these things. I just want you guys, just to be careful with your comments, though, with all this. Let it play out. And like I said, I know you guys feel one way or the other. But, again, the video set is one thing. And it's a perspective of a camera sitting on a guy's boat from afar. And it looks one way, but we weren't in the boat in either instance. We don't know the law like that federal game warden did. There's so many things at play here. And at this point, honestly, all we're doing is we're giving best guess scenarios. Best case scenarios, all this. But we just don't know. We don't know. So, like I said, I hate it. I hate it for the people that lost a loved one. I hate it for Flint that probably ruined his career and could possibly have ruined his life. And it's just, it's a tough situation. We just have to do it the right way and think about that. So you guys, hey, listen, it's been a fantastic discussion today. Fantastic. You guys came with it. A lot of great questions, a lot of great comments. And at the end of the day, who knows? We'll come back tomorrow. If you guys want to call and do this, Fish Nerd Labs. Hold on a second. Probably going to be some more electronics now to mount on boats with sensors for crash avoidance. Possibility. Again, you know how our cars are equipped with it. But they got to be some listen, if we're going to put them on boats and we're not lowering speeds, if we're still allowed to go the same speed we're going, that's got to be some jam up electronics. And what will it do? Will it throttle down the motor? Just scream off an alarm? You're smart. From what I hear, you're really, really smart. It's probably going to be somebody like you that can figure it out. You guys go ask everybody you know. I'm just curious. Ask everybody you know. I'll watch this. Robert Blesky, what's up, Danny? Here at Florida, hot as hell, but fishing is still good like always. Hey, I get it. Rob, let me ask you a question. Do you run a hot foot in your boat? I already know the answer, but just so you can put it out there. Do you run a hot foot? And do you know of any NPFL pro that does not run a hot foot? And we'll wait for you in the show. We'll wait and see if Rob hits us back. Do you run a hot foot? And do you know any NPFL guys who do not run a hot foot? Rob does run a hot foot. But what about the other guys, Rob? Can you think of one instance, one guy you fished against in the NPFL? That I'm not sure. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Say, yeah, you guys, if you liked it, Far Dog's going to keep on you guys. Hit the like button. We're going to make the, hey, listen, I would love for this lunch break to be like nationwide, get everybody's perspectives. When we do it 5 days a week, certainly we could get, we could figure out something to talk for everybody. So with that, listen, maybe John Cox. Maybe. But not many. Would you say the percentage, Rob, is 90% do and 10% don't, or is it even higher than that? Real quick, answer that question for me, if you don't mind. Danny, who's on the show tomorrow, I might write up. Guys, I can't pronounce his name. Clint has a gentleman, a Japanese fella, whose name is Jackie. Rob said, okay, so Rob said it's higher than 90% do run a hot foot on the NPFL. The gentleman's name is Jackie, and then it's like Takashira something, and I'll try to learn how to pronounce it before last night. I'm going to put out a post. You guys can see it. And Clint, he's I believe he's with Yamaha. You'll see all the things that he does. Clint said he's going to be a fantastic guest because he's funny and very good. And we're going to get some insights about the travel and all that with the professional tours and stuff. He doesn't fish them, but he does stuff behind the scenes, and he fishes like crazy. So it's going to be really interesting. But all I know, only thing I can say right now is his name is Jackie. All right. But you guys are more than welcome to come in and hang out with us tomorrow night. Is Clint going to do his accent? I don't know. He's Yamaha's boat mechanic that travels with the Elite Series. Yeah, but he fishes a lot. Good. Thank you, Alex, because I know he put that down. No, I doubt we're going to go over dice baits. But you know what, Cam? Maybe. Messick, are you wanting me to DM you? You just put DM me in the things. Fish Nerd Labs. I just ordered a dozen Daiwa jerkbaits from Japan. They're amazing. Oh, I bet so. Hey, anyway, listen. I've got jigs to tie. I'm going to go put the poll up on Fish North Georgia group page. I'll do that first. I'll shoot out my text to all the pros I know. I'll do that second. I'll get the post up about tomorrow night's live well, and then I'm going to tie jigs, and then we'll go from there. We'll be back tomorrow here at 12 for the lunch break. You guys, ask all your buddies. I'm just very curious now with the hot foot thing. Ask everybody you know, get a percentage. If you ask 20 people how many that, we'll do some math tomorrow, and we'll figure it out. But I would venture to say, like Rob said, with the pros, it's got to be upper 90% all running. But I'll throw it out to Emil, Paul, Mark. I'll throw it out to all of them, and we'll just see what we come up with. So with that, guys, listen. Alex, congratulations on the new job. I hope it goes well for you. I'm proud of you. I know you're happy, and I like it because when you're happy at work and you come in here on Tuesday nights, you're happy. And you better be happy tomorrow night because I know you've been kind of not down in the dumps, but you've been doing your best to put on a good face for us. Tim Turner says, I've been fishing in there for over 30 years. I've never been checked by the DNR. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how we would ever do speed limits. I just don't think it's possible to enforce it. So with that, listen, guys, hey, I'll do all that stuff. You come back tomorrow. If not, come back tomorrow night at 8. But let's go ahead and put that on your agenda for tomorrow's, one of the topics for tomorrow's lunch break. Who all has a hot foot? All right. So with that, I'm going to let my guys over here, thank you for hanging around on TikTok. And you guys over here, hey, YouTube, y'all kick some ass today. Absolutely. Great conversation. Everybody was very respectful with their opinions and all that. And that's the difference between you guys and all the garbage you see in a lot of other comment sections. So that's why I knew that if we talked about it, it would be just fine doing it. right here. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. Y'all have a great Monday. We will see you tomorrow. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. You guys be good. We are out of here. Got to go to work now. See ya.